Hello everyone, this is Ryan. Today we're going to be going over the Dudley support in G-Set 9. Been really looking forward to it. I wish we'd gotten some non-GB cards just for that early game, but nonetheless, we got to look over the cards and see their potential. So let's start out with Sadistic King Dudley Caliga. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It might get changed in the English translation, I'm not sure. But we'll just stick with this for now. So, Stride Skill, Vanguard, Carmeless 1. Choose 2 cards from your hand, put them in your soul. Really reminiscent of Dudley Emperor, like it a lot. Choose a face down card from your named Dudley Caligula from your G zone, turn to face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a heart card with Dudley in its card name, you pay the cost. If you do, reveal 11 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 3 cards with Dudley in its card name from among them. Call them to separate open regards, and they get 2 cans at the end of the turn, and shuffle your deck. This card plus Jessica it's a pretty good first stride turn actually. What's really cool is that Dudley's actually like plus, while Spike's like used to never plus ever. So that's really neat. I mean, 2 cards from your hand, and then you get 3 cards. It's new. It's fresh for for Strike Brothers. And Jessica, that's a free card. And it's really interesting about Dudley's is that like besides from Geronimo and Turbo, they won't go back. So the relationship is really interesting between this and Jessica, and then Turbo and Geronimo. What I see happening is using Jessica first stride with this guy to get like a full field pretty much instantly, and then second stride potentially you could go into Turbo with Geronimo and just use all the cards that you amassed from the first stride turn to have a pretty powerful second stride turn. But we'll go over this relationship later. Right now we'll stick with this. So what I see happening is with Jessica, right when you stride this guy on top of her, you're going to want to get Dudley Ingram out with her skill, and he'll get 5k. So then when you use Caligula's skill, Ingram is going to get plus 9, so he will be at 23 if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that range. But yeah, and while like Rising Nova and Bad End can hit a lot higher than 23, admittedly. What's nice about Dudley's is that you don't have to give up your hand as much, and you can save it for so that your final push can like really matter, and you can stay alive till then. It adds like a kind of like a consistency to it, I guess, if you know what I mean. Anyway, just in case you don't know what Dudley Ingram does, GB1, when your other unit with Dudley in its card name is placed on rearguard during your battle phase, this unit gets 3000 power. I would either want this to not be GB1, or I would want it to get plus 5k. So yeah, kind of disappointed with the overall power of this card. But I mean, hey, well, it's a Dudley grade 2. I'll take it. Especially since we don't have like 12k attackers or anything like that. You know, even just I mean, yeah, he works. Like, yeah, that's about it. He'll do the job. Not as well as you'd hope, but he'll do it. Alright, Dudley Turbo Lappler. Alright, this is probably going to change in the English translation, so I'll just call him Turbo for now. But this card is actually really interesting. I'm really glad that they came out with another grade 3 Dudley. I was kind of hoping for like Dudley Emperor Revival Legion, but you know, he'll do. I'm not too sad about it. So this first skill, we'll just go over it real quick. Auto Vanguard once per turn, GB1. When your unit with Dudley in its card name is placed on rearguard during the battle phase of your turn, this unit gets power plus 5000 till the end of the turn. Yeah, this ability is not the best. Kind of reminds me of those old like Limit Break when this attacks gets 5k. So yeah, it's um, especially with Jessica's like GB2 skill not really being like like damage or like a big play that you can do on your turn, like Rising Nova. You know what I mean? Like the standard GB2, it's more like a Gurguit one where it's like defensive and utility, I guess. So it's kind of unfortunate that his is just like basically nothing. but but yeah, I mean, I guess it technically is something. So yeah. But anyway, um, the second skill is I like it a lot. Auto Vanguard. During your turn, when your G unit strides, choose one of your Vanguards. Until the end of the turn, it gets Auto Vanguard Soul Blast 1. When your Rearguard with Dudley and its card name attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, the unit that attacked gets power plus 5,000 until the end of the battle. And at the end of the battle, put that unit into your soul. So it's not once per turn, really nice, and gives any Dudley Rearguard you want, like a Bracky skill. It's really exciting, especially when you pair it with Geronimo. That way, every Rearguard when it attacks gets 10k, and it can attack from the back row. I mean, yeah, it's not as explosive as like Rising Nova or Bad End can get, but it can hit you hard and it can hit fast, and I kind of like that about Dudley's. I mean, I love Bad End and Rising Nova and how like it takes a while and you can just unleash like a massive thing like right when you're like in a massive attack right when you're ready. But I mean, like back in the day with Dudley's, it was just or like with the good old Dudley Emperor. I know it's kind of goes back to that, and hopefully it works out in this meta. Um, I mean, there's certain ways to play this deck, and there are certain ways to not play this deck, and I feel you could do really bad with Dudleys, but I feel like if you play them right, I have confidence. I have hope. But yeah, anyway, so putting the unit into the soul it's interesting. There's pros and cons to it. Pro is that you're never gonna run out of soul this way because I mean you're soul blasting one, then you're soul charging one. So um, yeah, by that logic, you'll never run out of soul, which is good. And then the negative side of it is that yeah, that card goes in the soul and you can't call it out again. So you're gonna have to manage your deck kind of a bit. But yeah, with Dudley's, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And overall, I mean, I don't really see running out of soul actually that much either with Caligula. But I mean, maybe you really have to use this guy a bunch, and then you could potentially run out of soul if this was back to the deck. So, yep, I'll take it. We already talked about him. Alright, the leader is Linda. Alright, this is a card I'm 50-50 on. It's really close. I mean, alright, we'll just go over this skill quick. Auto, Soul Blast 2 cards with Dudley in its card name. When this unit is placed on guard from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, reveal 7 cards from top of your deck. Call all of the cards with Dudley in its card name from among them to guard circle. They get shield plus 5,000 until the end of the battle, and then you put the rest into your soul. This is a really unique card. Yeah, it really depends on your deck build and how many Dudleys you run, I guess. I mean, I'm with all these Dudley, with this and then with Caligula, I imagine your deck's gonna be mostly Dudleys for sure. One thing that was too bad was that a lot of people were assuming that we're gonna get Dudley triggers from this, or because of this, and we didn't. So what kind of it's kind of unfortunate that from the top 7 cards, all the triggers that are there go right to your soul, and they're just not in your deck anymore. But I mean, like out of those 7 cards, the non-triggers are also not in your deck anymore. So it's not too bad. It's not. I mean, it's not like it like deck thins like good or bad. It just deck thins. Which now that I mention it, 7 cards each time you want a Sentinel is kind of a lot. I mean, let's say you use this like 3 or 4 times a game. You're using a lot of cards from your deck, so that might put you in some trouble, especially since, I mean, with Turbo and with Jessica, um, I don't see you running Monty. I mean, it's possible, but I mean, even running one might be too much of an inconvenience just to run this Sentinel. But yeah, anyway, each card with Dudley getting 5k, that's nice. Let's say you get 4 Dudleys. Yeah, let's say like 3 5k shields, then like 1 grade 3. Like 4 Dudleys out of the top 7. That, yeah, it really depends on the luck, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you're either gonna get 3 or 4 each time. So let's say you get 4. How much shield is that? That's like 34 shields. No, not 34, 35. So yeah, it's a lot for sure, and it'll be able to guard a lot of early strides, I guess. But I mean, with with this meta, there's a lot of big hitting strides. They're big hitting and they have crits. Like for example, like just like 2 off the top of my head, like Dimension Police or like Gold Paladin. They hit for massive numbers, and Perfect Guard is just really nice in those cases. But yeah, I mean, I'll definitely test it out. I'll test it out at 4, test it out at like 2, test it out at 1. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Next card we have is Dudley Jetter, grade 1. It's like stride fodder, but you need it on the field. It's real quick. It's just retire this unit at the beginning of your ride phase. If you have a Vanguard with Dudley in his card name, you pay the cost. If you do, if the G unit you stride has Dudley in his card name, stride without paying the cost of the next stride. In a Dudley deck, you're mostly striding Caligula and Geronimo. So, and you have a Dudley on your Vanguard, obviously, so that's not too big of a deal. The main problem with this card is, as a lot of people have realized, is that you need to survive your opponent's turn at the beginning of your ride phase. So if you're playing against a really heavy control deck, chances are you're not going to be able to really get this guy off a whole lot, especially like Link Joker, Kagero. I mean, if you pull this guy out during your Caligula turn, you're going to have a pretty big field, so it's not going to be too bad against Aqua Force or like Dark Irregulars or those like retire 1 or 2, But yeah, definitely against those heavy control decks, it's gonna hurt. So, I mean, but yeah, it's not that bad actually. I mean, first of all, they're gonna have to waste resources or to retire that guy or lock him or whichever. So yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, overall, I would still ride. I might probably run like 2 Acrobat Verity maybe and 4 of him. Just because, yeah, because I mean, it's not the end of the world if you're playing a super heavy control and you only have 2 stride fodders in your deck. That like let's say they're able to like get rid of this guy every single time you play it. So yeah, you still have the grade 3s, which is nice. So yeah, definitely run this guy just because you don't have a whole lot of Dudleys, and he's not bad. He's pretty good. All right, so next we have our Dudley starter, and so I mean, usually in Spike Brothers, you get a new starter and you're like, oh, well, we have Mecha Trainer, so let's not even look at it. But actually, in a Dudley deck, um, when you have cards like Caliga and Jessica can tutor out any Dudley card for your entire deck. You should be able to get pretty much anything you want off the top 11. I would think. So yeah, with that amount of like tutoring, the only basically the only real card that you would really need is either um, Acrobat Verity against like a really heavy control deck, or Perfect Guard. So I lost my train of thought. Oh, so yeah, so Mecha Trainer might not or be all that necessary in a Dudley deck, especially since in my Bad End Jessica deck, um, I kind of switched over to Mecha Analyzer for a little while, just because like his combo with the double break right is kind of like disgusting. Like you turn a booster into a 27k attacker, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, with Geronimo, Mecha Analyzer doesn't really work because cards from attack from the back row. So yeah, Dudley Little Road is kind of just like a better Geronimo in that case, because on a Geronimo turbo turn, you can let's say you have him behind like a Misery or something. That's a good example. So then he doesn't attack; he just boosts. So you just have him boost, call out something, then just make sure you have an open rear guard when you have when you attack with Vanguard, which you shouldn't be hard at all because Misery goes back anyway. So yeah, when your Vanguard attacks, you just Soul Blast, bring him out. As long as you have two other Dudleys, he'll become a 18 attacker, which is not bad for a starter. Um, it's along the same lines of Mecha Analyzer, not as crazy, but you can use him multiple times per game, which is pretty nice. He's not even GB, and it's kind of ironic because Dudley Ingram is the guy that you don't want to be GB, just for that early game like power plus, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I don't really see you using Dudley Little Road before GB, just because I mean unless you have like a full field on turn 2, but then that kind of misses. But then I guess that kind of misses the point of using Caligula first shrine, which is what I would personally want to do. So yeah, I mean I'll test him out for sure. I'm thinking he might be the best starter to use for Dudleys, which is pretty exciting that we got a good starter in this set, which is funny. Yeah. So yeah, those are all the Dudley cards I want to look over. Here I have a picture that one of my friends sent me of some Japanese players' Dudley deck. I was pretty psyched to see it. It's pretty much more or less what I was thinking. I would personally wouldn't run this many Acrobat Verities, as I've already said. I like the 6 draw, 6 crit. In case you need to go more defensive game, which I mean it'll happen. It has happened. Draws are really nice. He's playing this probably just to test it out, obviously. I'll test it out for sure as well. Douglas, he's a card that had a good feeling was gonna come back. Just looking at the deck, it doesn't use Counterblast a whole lot. Both strides use 1 Counterblast per turn. If Mason hits, it's a Counterblast. If you get to pick a row, it's 2 Counterblasts, but that's not too bad. Especially if you run the Unflipper PG, which is what you would use if you weren't gonna run this. So yeah, I mean that plus 5k is really nice. It can add some numbers. It makes your push turns that much better. Dudley Daisy to a lesser degree. is important like that. But yeah, I would what I'm feeling that I'm feeling what I'm thinking is that Turbo and Geronimo turns are going to be that's going to be your main final turn that you're going to expect to have each game. Um, because that plus 10k, and with that like 5 plus potential rearguard attacks. So, but what Dudley's lack is battle phase calling during, like, besides for Caligula, because you're gonna want Geronimo on your final turn, like I just said, and he also doesn't call anything, obviously. So I was thinking, Wink. Sorry if you can hear that yelling. Wink Killer is the most obvious choice. Really good. You just Caramelize, put a Guardian in the Soul, you get a card and it gets 5k. It's pretty strong. It needs to be boosted, but like I said, that it fits nicely with Little Dudley Little Road. So if I had to put her in, which I probably will, test it out for sure anyway. And I'm thinking she's gonna be necessary for this turn to be really impactful. So I'd probably take out 2 Verities, turn 1 into a Wink Killer, and then take out 1 of each, Ingram and Mason, and then just add it to and turn them into Wink Killers. So then we have 4 different grade 2s and 3 of each. That way, Turbo won't, or like using Turbo to put him in the Soul won't instantly kill him off by like running like a 2 over or 1 over or anything. And then, yeah, you still have a variety of cards to use because you can tutor out a lot, and then except for Wing Killer. But yeah, I'm thinking that's what I'll try out first. 12 grade 2s is pretty necessary, especially since whenever you attack with one, you're gonna put it in the Soul. You're gonna need a lot of attackers in your deck, I suppose. And then I would turn 1 more Acrobat Verde. I'm gonna try this out. I'll see if it works. I'm gonna turn it into a Dudley Dan. Goes way back. I don't think I ever used that card, really. Once I had a final Spike Brothers deck, I don't think I had it in my Dudley Emperor deck. But, I mean, hey, this deck really doesn't use a whole lot of Carmelass, and it can get tutored out by this guy and Jessica if you need to. Just put it behind the Vanguard, I guess. Get another attack off in this final turn. It might not be that good because you could just say like, oh, why don't you just you could just say like, why don't you just have a card that's in there instead of having it boost, if that makes sense. Because like essentially Dudley Dan is taking up the space behind the Vanguard, so then theoretically you could just put another grade 3 there, and then you don't have to Caramelize or do the Counter Blast or put your card from hand in the Soul. Which, that might be actually better. But hey, I'll try it. Why not? 1, yeah, 1 would be the max though, for sure. Other than that, yeah, it just looks like really solid to me. Yeah, consistent. It looks like one of the more consistent Spike Brother decks, and we'll just have to see, I guess, how much pressure it can actually put on the opponent. That's the main part. If they can feel constantly pressured, it's gonna be really good. Dudley's will. But if the opponent can just kind of brush off the Dudley attacks and then just keep on surviving these turns, it'll be kind of an issue because that's how Dudley's roll, I guess. So yeah, we'll see if they do their job well. Once these cards get put up on Cardfight area, I'll be sure to make a deck and I'll do some gameplay with it, and we'll see how well the deck works. Hopefully, like I'm thinking, it'll be good. Alright, anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. This has been Ryan. I'll see you later. Bye.